Yes, and. So I'd like to hear this wonderful story. The great helper, the ADE class of 2011, Steve Katz. Let's welcome him.
I'm Steve Katz. Like TG said, ADE class of 2000. I'm originally a social studies teacher by trade, but I've done a bunch of different things throughout my career. Tell you a little bit about what I've been doing recently. This is a photo of my grandfather. He's not the one who posed for the photo. He's the one who photobombed his friend showing who caught the bigger fish. He loved to fish. And every time he could escape from my grandmother, that's what he was doing. And he used to take me as a boy, and we would go fish off the pier. And I used to have a good time doing that. I don't ever remember catching anything, though. He used to always like to tell this one story about his fishing. And the story he would always tell was about how he caught an octopus. And he hauled it up, and it was a pretty decent-sized octopus, not a small one like that was on the screen at the beginning. And he didn't know what to do with it. He'd never caught an octopus before. And so what he did was he just put the whole thing in his bucket and set it there. And before he knew it, the octopus had crawled kind of out surrounding the bucket and began crushing the bucket. He was feeling like he had a pretty big problem on his hands, and he did not know how to resolve his problem. Fortunately for him, he was on the pier, and there were other people who were walking by, and one of the guys says, "Hey, I can help you out with that, I can take care of that, but I want the octopus." And so he's like, "Yeah, sure, take it away." And so the guy grabs the octopus, he bites it between the eyes, it dies instantly, problem solved. That really is, but you can Google it, that really is how you can kill an octopus instantly. And so what I take from that story, both personally and professionally, is to look for the simple solution. You might not always have that simple solution, I might not always have that simple solution, but it's there somewhere. And as I'm helping teachers with technology, I am looking for that simple solution, sort of to kill their octopus that they might have. I work at Korea International School. It's a little bit south of Seoul. And we have a population of 1,200 students. And it's a great school to work at. We have a real outstanding culture of learning. The teachers are actively engaged in professional development every single day. Literally, every single day. And it's just it's great to be in a place where people are always looking to improve their craft. We have a one-to-one MacBook program, grades 6 through 12. And the students at school have a very strong work ethic. The things you hear, stereotypical Korean work ethic, that is what our school is about. They are engaged in the technology, and it's really second nature to them. This is a photo from my stop-motion animation class, and they were just putting together some simple animations using iMovie. We also have a couple of iPad carts at school, and the teachers are really enjoying, leveraging the power of the iPad. And this is a third grade teacher who I was working with. We were collaborating on doing iMovie projects for his space unit. And we are going to go one-to-one iPads next year in grades 3 and 4. By the way, I didn't mention it, but I'm a technology integration specialist at Korea International School, and so that's why I'm collaborating with all these other people. This is a good friend of mine. Her name's Liz, and she's an outstanding PE teacher. And we've worked together. We've collaborated quite a bit. And when I'm collaborating with a teacher, here is really just sort of a beginning stage where we're just kind of brainstorming. Really, more than anything, what I'm doing is I'm listening to Liz. I'm hunting for that octopus that she's going to have in her lesson so I can take care of it for her. Sometimes it's difficult to define what the octopus is going to be. But really, ultimately, my goal is to just make the tech go away for her so that the students can just reach the learning outcomes that she's looking for. And Liz's style, she really wants to get the tech in the hands of her students. She wants them doing all the work. She's just sort of managing from behind the scenes. And when I collaborate with her in the class, usually I'm even more behind the scenes. I'm kind of there as a safety net. So different teachers really do have different styles. This is a first grade teacher at our school, and when I collaborate with her students, she's more about me leading the way, and I'll be delivering the lesson, and she's the one more behind the scenes. And as she's getting more and more comfortable with tech, she's doing a little bit more of the leading. And Christina's a great teacher, just a very different style from Liz, especially first grade to middle school PE, as you can imagine. Very different octopus to kill in that one. I usually tell my teachers at the beginning of the year, for the new teachers coming in, I say, think of me like training wheels. I'm there for you as long as you need me. Get rid of me when you can ride the bike on your own, and I'll just disappear. Don't ever have to see me again. Actually, they don't have to see me in the first place, but I like it when they do. So last year, I collaborated with one of our science teachers, and the lesson had to do with sound waves. And Jay is the teacher's name, and his style is different from the other two that I just mentioned. He's really pragmatic. Let's just knock it out point by point, and let's take care of this. The idea of the lesson was to reinforce scientific analysis, but the idea was to really make sound waves something concrete as opposed to an abstract wave that you'd see like this image here. So his big octopus for this lesson was, how do we focus on this learning and not focus on the tech? Did I go back? Sorry. There. So after a little bit of brainstorming, talking, his style is not so much, let's set up a meeting, but let's just talk in the halls whenever, and that's okay with me. But out of that collaboration, the lesson Good Vibrations was born, where we ended up using GarageBand to teach the students about sound waves and reinforce scientific analysis. So what we did, just really quickly, we borrowed 11 instruments from the elementary school music teacher, and we played them, we actually recorded them into GarageBand, and we ended up with these waveforms that look different for each different instrument. And technically these, for those science teachers out there, these aren't actually sound waves, but it's really measuring intensity of the sound, but close enough to make our point, and they still get to do the scientific analysis. And so what we did when the lesson started was Jay played the instruments for the students so they would know how we played them when we recorded them. And then what we did was we had taken those waveforms and we made them into cards, and the students had to predict which waveform went with which instrument. And it was a really interesting experience because the discussions that the kids had as to why it was the tambourine and not the rattler or whatever the instrument was ended up being a really deep level conversation, which is really surprising for an introductory unit on any given topic. So they made their predictions, and I should back up. They made their predictions, and then what they had to do was they had to then go ahead and record the instruments, each of the instruments, and then they found out how well they predicted. A follow-up lesson that we did afterwards, which Jay titled Good Vibrations and Sound Oscillations, what they did was they created a percussion-only song using GarageBand and just what was in their reach. Tapping a pencil on a desk, clapping, snapping their fingers, and then looping those into a song. The kids really liked this a lot, and some of them even actually made music videos and created lyrics that had to do with sound waves and things like that. but it definitely took a long time for them to get to that point. So usually when I work with a teacher, after the lesson, we sit down and we reflect on, what do we do well? What can we improve if we were to do this lesson again? And what we came up with was that we had 3, not too huge octopuses. By the way, octopuses is the correct plural according to your Mac dictionary. I have a zoologist friend, he says octopi and octopodes is also correct, but being an Apple conference, I'm going to go with octopuses. So, my big thing was how to make tech not the issue in any of these. And so the first octopus that we had was that the students were recording too close to the microphone. And what that ends up doing in GarageBand is it maxes out that waveform. So you really can't get that differentiation between instruments. We had a real simple solution to that. We bit the octopus between the eyes by standardizing the distance from the microphone. 1 meter, and that worked. The other issue that we had was that the students played the instruments differently from how we had played the instruments. So a lot of time had passed between the time when Jay demonstrated the instrument in front of the class and the students actually went and played it and recorded it. So the way we killed that octopus, my iPod keeps going off. Thanks for tweeting me. I appreciate it. Should have probably left it in the back. So what we did was we recorded Jay playing each of these instruments exactly how we recorded them in GarageBand so that the students could reproduce that recording as closely as possible to what we did. Here's an example of one of the recordings. Yeah, music teachers, I know he's playing it upside down, but as long as they can reproduce it, it's scientific analysis. So what we ended up having happen was that the students made significantly better predictions this second year that we did this lesson. And the first year of the lesson, they were getting about 40% correct predictions. Whereas the second year, which we did just 2 weeks ago, they were up at 80%. The last octopus that sort of crept in here, I mentioned that this song really took a long time. And, we didn't, at the end, when we reflected on it, we really feel like it added so much towards the learning goal. And the real simple way to kill that octopus was we just cut it out of the lesson. So this year, this was not part of the lesson. So I look at my role as a tech coach / octopus killer. I'm looking at doing 3 things. I'm really trying to listen to my fishermen because everybody has a different style of fishing. I try to adapt my solutions to their needs. And then I want to make the tech disappear for their class. If anybody's interested in any of the lesson stuff, I have it all posted here. Feel free to download it, use it. Please give Jay the attribution because he was really the brains behind everything. I was just killing a few octopus along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.